Shifty Schiff pulling a Letitia move. Wow. Come on, Adam. Can't you get a little more creative than this? Apparently not. You know, anything to save a buck. These people are absolutely unbelievable. I know they don't pay him that well. Well, they pay him plenty, but maybe not as well as they'd like to see. They're in Congress. So Adam Schiff, what did he do? He allegedly decided to get himself a little bit of a lower mortgage. You know, every little bit counts. Don't get me wrong over the years, but you don't actually engage in something that would be considered fraudulent behavior in order to do it. This is what he is being accused of right now. I mean, he's really got a shifty day coming his way. He's accused here of lying on a mortgage application. And this is exactly what Letitia was accused of. Donald Trump going off on it just a couple of days ago. I've always suspected Shifty Adam Schiff was a scam artist, he wrote. And now I learned that the Financial Crimes Division of Fannie Mae has concluded that Adam Schiff is engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff said that his primary residence was in Maryland. Well, that would be kind of a problem, right? If you're the congressman from California, your primary residence would obviously be in none other than California. You don't say it's in Maryland. But you see, when you say it's your primary residence when you're buying a house, oh, guess what? You get a better deal on the mortgage. And the reason you get a better deal on the mortgage is because people know, banks know, that if it's your primary residence, you're more likely to pay off the mortgage when times get tough. The vacation house, oh, that can go by the wayside, but the primary residence, it usually gets paid. And so that is why you get a lower rate on a primary residence. So he's living in California, but allegedly was saying that Maryland was his prime residence. And this is going back to 2009. So that's not good for him. Donald Trump weighing in on it. Here he is, outside on the tarmac. Listen.
President. We want Adam Schiff brought to justice. I would love to see him brought to justice. That jail? I'll tell you what, I think Adam Schiff is one of the lowest of the low. I would love to see him brought to justice. He's a dishonest, crooked guy. I don't know about the individual charge, if that even happens. But Adam Schiff is a serious lowlife. And tomorrow morning here in Washington, AOC is hosting Go Ron Mamdani.
Adam Schiff, I believe.
Sorry.
Okay, they're shifting on to another lowlife, if you ask me. Mamdani, who's running for New York mayor, is a total commie. He wants to actually get rid of personal property, believe it or not. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. Boy, AOC is his new best friend. Unbelievable stuff. Back to Adam Schiff, who is not a very nice guy. I remember he got censured in Congress because he led us down the path of Russia nonstop, a bunch of bogus total lies that he was censured for. I want to play the clip.
You were censured in the House last year for, in their view, holding positions of power during the Trump presidency as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. And according to them, quote, abusing this trust by saying there was evidence of collusion between Trump's campaign and Russia. And I wonder if you are feeling at all, introspective at all, about that was, according to the Mueller report and according to your Republican colleagues, an overstatement. And I wonder if you think in any way you help set the table for these disruptors.
You know, first of all, it wasn't an overstatement. There is evidence of collusion. The Trump campaign manager was meeting with Russian intelligence and giving them internal polling data, just to give you one example. And the Mueller report sets all this out.
It does say, quote, the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities, which doesn't mean that he didn't, that there weren't meetings, but they didn't find evidence.
Mueller says that too. He says the fact that we didn't find proof beyond a reasonable doubt doesn't mean there wasn't evidence of conspiracy or coordination.
Oh, please. Don't you give me that, buddy boy. All right? We know what went down. You guys bought and paid. Well, Hillary Clinton bought and paid for opposition research through Perkins Coie, her law firm, who bought it through Fusion GPS. Interestingly, like a bunch of ex-Wall Street Journal reporters, total hacks. Like, these people are hacks. Like, they're just out there to try and drum up a bunch of junk. And you know what? That's exactly what they did. They went and hired an ex-British spy who had some contacts in Russia to kind of make it look like it was something. I read the thing, okay? I read the thing. BuzzFeed published it, which I was sort of shocked at. I'm like, why are you guys publishing this junk? I mean, honestly, whatever. But you're welcome to go and read it. It is total junk. It is like something that you would see in the National Enquirer at the supermarket tabloid stand. It is not a piece of intelligence. There's no way that this was any kind of intel. It was so obvious. And yet our government ran with it. Comey ran with it. Now, why did they do that? Because they wanted to take down Trump. And then when he actually won, they had this sort of in their back pocket to try and use to try and go after him and totally derail his entire presidency. Justin, thank you so much. I love that you guys are so supportive. And yes, I love seeing the subs are growing too. Thank you very, very much, Justin, there with a super chat. But my point being that they did a lot of damage. They tried, and they're trying in their little different ways to try and do it again. And you know what? It's not going to happen because I played to the soundbite at the top of the show, and we're going to get into it deeper. Donald Trump has his base behind him. And you know what? We're not budging. No way, no how. Not budging one single bit. So, Schiff, you should be nervous. You should be super duper nervous. Here's a Fox report on Adam Schiff and his shifty moves, much like Letitia James. We'll get to her in a second.
Mortgage fraud, and part of the president's argument is this. I've always suspected shifty Adam Schiff was a scam artist. Adam Schiff said that his primary residence in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. And here's a quick refresher about President Trump's beef with Schiff.
He is using the department as both sword and shield, acting like a convicted felon because he is a convicted felon. The Trump administration is corrupt. No one, not even a president, is above the law.
Well, now the California lawmaker who spends a lot of time in Maryland is responding.
So the president today is accusing me of fraud. And the basis of his accusation is that I own a home in Maryland and I own a home in California. Big surprise. Members of Congress, almost all of them own more than one home or rent more than one home because we're required to be on both coasts. So he is using my ownership of two homes to make a false claim of mortgage fraud.
The president wants stiff penalties here, so we had a chance to ask, how stiff?
You say that you want Adam Schiff brought to justice.
I would love to see him brought to justice. I'll tell you what, I think Adam Schiff is one of the lowest of the low. I would love to see him brought to justice. He is a dishonest, crooked guy. I don't know about the individual charge, if that even happens.
And we saw that, of course. But the point being, of course, Donald Trump has no use for this guy. Nobody has any use for this guy. This guy was just a liar, a political hack that was trying to take Donald Trump down from the very beginning. And you know what? There's this little thing called karma. And Shifty Schiff was not that bright. I mean, like, really and truly. I don't know where he went to school, what his back. I know he's a lawyer. By the way, you're a lawyer, buddy. For goodness sakes, you were the last person that should be lying on a mortgage application trying to say that one residence was your primary residence. His excuse is, I had two houses. Well, in this case, yeah, you were the representative from California. So guess what? That house in California was your primary house. It was. Any which way you slice it. And now you're trying to say, well, it was actually the one in Maryland because I was going to get a better rate. Maybe the one in Maryland was more expensive. I don't know. But it's not okay. And you know who else it's not okay with? Or for? Letitia James. Letitia James, who's coming apart at the seams as we speak. I mean, she had just found out that New York was losing even more money. And of course, she'd also found out that she was being accused of exactly what Schiff is being accused of. Although in her case, it's even worse because these are 2023 allegations, meaning they are super ripe and super recent. And it means that she could risk going to jail, if you would, for 30 years. Here she is after she got the news, or maybe it was like hours before. She knew it was coming down. She was freaking out. So she's going into her sermon mode. Tell us, sister.
And you want me to sit in my seat and stand idly by and allow this craziness to happen? You could come after me if you want, but you elected me to stand up. You elected me to use the law. You elected me to go to court. You elected me to continue to challenge this administration. You elected me to stand up for the least of God's children. You elected me to continue fighting on. And I will fight on.
Oh, you'll fight on. You'll fight on what? I mean, come on, enough already, people. Get with the program. Things are happening and they're good. And if any of these people had any sense, they'd think about things like, I don't know the Constitution. But you know what, Letitia, you're done. You're just so done. You're done because you did something that, well, I mean, frankly, I see the illegalities everywhere. I mean, you had an attorney general who was just absolutely rabid, going after fundraising and going after Donald Trump, even though she'd go on, oh, I didn't do that. And we got all the tape. We played it for you a zillion times. Two male, two pale, two sow. Remember that one? Yeah, she said every day, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go after this guy, and it's all I'm going to do. And that's why you need to elect me. And that's what she fundraised off of. And then she said all kinds of crazy stuff, even during the trial itself. I mean, it was blatantly irresponsible. And you know what? This woman needs to be disbarred. But before she gets disbarred, I think she's not going to get elected. I think she's not going to get elected because I've seen the poll numbers. And she's suffering. She's suffering worse than anyone else in that state besides Kathy Hochul, who also may not get elected. But here's Letitia James, again, with a similar cadence of speech. Notice how she keeps repeating some of the same expressions over and over and over again. Watch.
It's that stone of hope that inspires me each and every day. And listen, faith and fear can never share the same space. And so I'm covered by the blood. And I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. You can come after me, but no enemy, nothing formed against me will perish. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me. Nothing formed against me.
Nothing formed against you. She's also misquoting scripture and Martin Luther King and a few other things along the way there. But point being, she's got a story. She's sticking to it. She says that this was no big deal. It's just a clerical thing. I'm sorry, lady, you are a lawyer, are you not? You're the Attorney General of New York. What the heck are you doing trying to say that this is your primary residence there in the state of Virginia when, in fact, you're the AG in the state of New York?
As you know, we filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and his family. We secured $454 million judgment against him, which is on appeal. The case is on appeal. I have no idea when that case will be decided. This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia, but prior to that, I had indicated to the mortgage broker that, in fact, in bold cap letters, that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be. And in the mortgage application, I indicated that I would not live in Virginia and I was not a resident. They just took the power of attorney and they're using that as a basis for enforcement for their investigation, when in reality, the power of attorney was never used to determine my eligibility for a mortgage for my niece for a home in the state of Virginia. My niece who has children, and because I am a good aunt, I wanted her to have a home.
Yeah, that's really it. Listen, they're both accused of mortgage fraud. I actually think, as I look at both of these cases, I'm going to be fully transparent. I think the Letitia James one is worse. One, because it's very, very recent. Two, because it's not just that, it's also the fact that she lied on documentation. And I've showed you these documents. You got to go all the way back to 1989. But she actually said that she was her father's wife in order to help him secure a loan for a mortgage. I mean, this is a pattern of behavior that I think that they're going to point to that is very, very problematic. You know, in terms of statute of limitations, I think that they can still at least use the 1989 situation to point to her 2023 problematic mortgage application. With Adam Schiff, it might be harder only because it's, full disclosure, 2009. But I do think that they're both risking a whole lot of legal trouble, certainly a lot of headache for Adam Schiff. He doesn't want to talk about it. He was actually asked today by one reporter on Capitol Hill, and he's like, anything to say? And he just kept going. He kept going. He does not want to talk about this at all because he doesn't want to implicate himself any further. She's the same way. She's just trying to say, this is political vendetta. Oh, and by the way, this is why you need to make sure you donate more to me. Oh, and this is why I need to make sure that I use $10 million worth of taxpayer dollars in order to pay my darn legal bills because I got to hire Hunter Biden's lawyer. Yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. Abby Lowell, she's paying him to try and make this whole thing go away, and she's trying to say it's political. No. This isn't political. I'm sorry. You're the one who chose to say in 1989 that you were your father's wife. Okay? Like, you're the one who made that call. Oh, and we can go back further because there's another case where she bought a brownstone and she said it was 4 levels instead of 5, because then she'd qualify, what do you know, for, again, special money from the government. You might as well take everything you can get from the government. These people are such takers. That's part of the problem. They want everything. They want to control everything. They don't want to work for it. No. We don't work for stuff. We just have the government give it to us. And when the government doesn't give it to us, we just take it. Well, Letitia James, those days are over. You're about to find out. You're about to find out the hard way in many, many different ways. One, you're going to lose this election as Attorney General. Nobody in the state of New York likes you outside of New York City. God knows what they're thinking there, but, they're the ones that are looking at a potential commie, for goodness sakes. We'll get to him, as I said. Meanwhile, not only are you going to not win your election, here's my prediction. The Court of Appeals is going to throw out the $500 million penalty that you got against the now President of the United States. And they're going to say, what the heck were you doing, lady? Because this case had no merit from the very beginning. Letitia James thinks she can decide what Mar-a-Lago is worth or anything is worth. And she wants to be able to come in between you and your banker in a private transaction, all while lying on her own transactions that are backed up by the FHA and federal money. Think of how twisted and messed up that is, you guys. I'm sorry. They got to get on this. Pam Bondi, I want her all over this case because this one is a problem.